When Andy resigned from the United Nations, he was scheduled to speak at our convention in Norfolk for dinner, our banquet. He called me and said, "Hey, Joe, a funny thing happened to me on the way to Norfolk." He said, "I resigned because I met with the PLO." So the convention then ordered me to go meet with Arafat and get involved in the Mideast peace, because that was taking priorities away from the domestic struggle as well. And so since Carter didn't appoint me, he couldn't disappoint. I decided to go. So we met with the PLO ambassador to the UN, a fellow named Turtsy. Met with him, and we met with Yehuda Bloom, who is the Israeli ambassador to the UN. We met with both of them and presented a peace plan. First a moratorium, a ceasefire, then negotiations, and so forth and so on. And while we were meeting, Arafat called and invited me to Lebanon to meet with him. And so we accepted the invitation. And we tried, once that meeting was set, to get a meeting with Menachem Begin, Prime Minister of Israel, but he refused to meet with us because we met with Arafat first. And we challenged Arafat. We challenged Arafat to change his methods. I said to him, he carried me to one of the refugee camps, and a little boy there, about 13, 12 or 13, this was in 79, and he asked the little boy, said, "Tell the preacher where your home is." The little boy said, "Palestine." Now that boy wasn't born in 48 when they pushed him out, he wasn't born, but he said his home in Palestine. I said, "But he won't get there by violence, Mr. Arafat." He said, "Well, his grandson will." And that's what I call long-range planning. But at any rate, I tried to convince him to try different methods, to have a march from Nabatea past the Beaufort Castle all toward Israel, singing, "We're bound for the promised land." And we'll have religious leaders from all over the world join us. He wouldn't agree because he said Begin would shoot us down. And I said he wouldn't dare with all the religious leaders there, but he wouldn't do it. But he did agree to a 30-day ceasefire. And then I tried to meet with Begin to get him to agree to a ceasefire, but he would not meet. In the meantime, the Democrat senator from South Dakota, Aberesk, put in the Senate record that for the first time in a long time, the Israelis stopped bombing Tyre and Sidon down in southern Lebanon while we were there.
You probably got a lot of flack back home.
You want to see my scar? I got a lot of flack. We had a big press conference in New York when I got back, and the Jewish leadership was castigating and castrating us at the same time. But I stood my ground because we advocated peace. We advocated nonviolence. And I was told when I got back by an Arab leader that when I told Arafat that you would not make it by violence, leave your pistol at home, that he said that Arafat told one of his, if it had been anybody other than Joseph Lowery, I would have shot him right on the spot. Now, not me individually, but what I represented, the black movement. The black movement represented nonviolent change and nonviolent direct action. But he wouldn't agree to it. But he did agree to the ceasefire, and Reagan did not. But I came back and tried to get with Carter to talk about some plans to bring some Palestinian children and some Israeli children to do some concerts and tours together. But it would not materialize because Jewish leadership was very much opposed to any dialogue. And I met with the rabbi here was named Al Sugarman, he still is. And he had me out to his temple. And I met with about 60 top Jewish leaders in this community. We met all night. And when we finished, they said they were more disturbed than they were before they met because they thought I was just ignorant. But I understood the situation. Therefore, I was more dangerous. And but I held fast. And if they had listened to our cry then, we were criticized by both black and white. Randall Robinson and I were on David Susskind shortly after that. And David Susskind says, Brother Lowery, you were criticized by some black leaders. And I won't call it a name, but he said, this particular leader said you were over there engaging in dangerous flirtation with terrorists. I said, when did he say that? He said, well, to tell the truth, he hadn't said it yet. He's going to say it in Kansas City next week. I said, oh, you were censoring Mr. So-and-so's speeches? And he wouldn't say anything. But then when Clinton had the two leaders in the garden and had them shake hands, this fellow was sitting right in front of me. And I said, look what those dangerous flirtations with terrorists hath wrought. Peace. But of course it broke down because there had been fault on both sides. And I wrote an op-ed here for the Constitution a few weeks ago and called on the Palestinians to stop the suicide bombings and for the Israelis to stop the settlements. They both are wrong and they both need to be stopped. But I'm proud of that, although it caused me scars. I think, and then there was a great cartoon in the Afro-American right after that had a bridge falling down, and they had me under the bridge, and it said, he ain't no engineer, but it's the only thing we got going in the Middle East. Well, I was very proud of it. I got that thing somewhere. That cartoon you made fun of when I asked me teaching the Klan. And that thing. But that was a rough session. And many Jewish leaders have never forgiven me. But that's why they don't understand. That's one of the difference between Judaism and Christianity is that we believe in communicating with the enemy. I talk with the Klan, but they don't believe in a whole lot of talk. But it won't be resolved without communication and negotiation.